The Africans were the most suffering group of fighters during the World War. They could be sent on missions when the whites are resting, and they could be sent for hard and risky missions. Weapons were given to them, but food for energy to carry those machines akuna. They suffered because of having low ranks, and they were given orders by the whites to make them killed on the front line. Racial segregation was the order of the although they saw a reason to trust them at the end. During the World War, fighting jets were only controlled and flew by the whites, but the Japanese, which belonged to power axis, had no mercy to anyone. They could kill them mercilessly, whether black or white, in all places. One day when Sergeant Hayes was moving with his men, he met a Cal who was a white. He gave him an order to detonate a landmine as if he couldn't do it. Sergeant had nothing to do, he had to obey the order as all Africans were commanded to. When he was still removing the landmine from their way, the Japanese saw them and made an attack. God didn't give blacks a black color for nothing but for victory and solutions. They fired bullets at each and they defeated the Japanese. They subdued the Japanese and went to their base. The food that was given to them, even if someone was to give it to a pig, it couldn't get even 1% appetite. As Sergeant Hayes was moving around, he met a disrespectful white man who even never saluted him. They had a misunderstanding because that white soldier was a racist. The two sergeants went to meet Major Green to give him the report on what had happened. On reaching there, then whites had already reported them that they took white soldiers into a Japanese ambush. They tried to explain themselves, but Major refused to listen to them. Sergeant Hayes was lowered to nothing and was put in a group of whites to move with them. While moving around, he met the racist whites again, and he was ordered to sit the back of their vehicle, because he had a higher rank than him, and so he had to obey his orders. His boys saw him going away and filled with anger against what the whites were doing to them. When they reached in the middle of the journey, the white lieutenant was not well versed with the place. When he tried to tell him the right directions, he was just told to shut up and sit. Because of his arrogance and racism, he put the whole group into a Japanese ambush, and they were all killed, leaving only him alive because he had all the tactics to survive. He used the radio to inform his colleagues and rescue his life from the ambush. While Lieutenant Michael was sent on a mission with his friend, they shot the Japanese train and the mission was successful. While returning to the base, they were attacked and his friend crushed. He damaged the Japanese jet and rescued his life using a parachute and fell in the place where Hayes was. He called him and saved him from the Japanese. Michael had little experience in the bush, but he wanted to give orders to Hayes because he had a higher rank. Hayes refused all orders from him and told him that as he isn't ready to take on orders taking him to hell. When these fellow blacks of Hay told the major that they wanted to go and rescue their man, he refused. But he granted them the order to go and rescue them when he had the Michael was in the same place with him. Hayes and Michael were arrested by the Japanese and were tortured. Even Japanese had racial segregation because they wanted to retain Michael and hang Hayes first. God answered Hayes' prayers and his friends reached in time and they were rescued. Blacks were then appreciated by the general for the good job they had done and racism was reduced. Thanks for watching.